Picturesque Huntington Beach is known as Surf City, USA, but its political notoriety in this election year is over a local ordinance requiring photo ID before in-person voting. Mayor Gracie Vandermark says it reflects citizens' concerns about election integrity.
You can't even go see your doctor without an ID, but the most important thing in our country is our election system. Because every single thing we do is determined by politicians and who we put in office. Our lives are dictated by who we put in office, and then they start legislating. So we want to make sure that the integrity of our elections is protected.
Non-citizen voting is a political issue in this presidential campaign. In Arizona last week, Donald Trump accused Joe Biden of allowing immigrants to cross the Mexican border to illegally vote for him in November.
Somebody's going to explain to us why they would want this to happen. I guess it's probably votes.
There is no evidence that non-citizens vote in significant numbers in the U.S. elections. Most U.S. voters confirm identifying information when they check in to vote, but they're not required to show identification. Huntington Beach Council member Dan Kalmick opposes the voter ID measure and says it reflects his city's more conservative shift.
Well, voter ID is for in-person voting, but only 15% of the city voted in person in the last election. What problem are we trying to solve? We're trying to solve for 1,000 people that are going to vote in person. Again, it just proves that it's political. There's not actually a problem that we're trying to solve here.
California has its own voting laws, and the state is suing Huntington Beach over a measure Attorney General Rob Bonta says adversely impacts low-income voters, voters of color, young or elderly voters, and people with disabilities. Charlie Zabla is an immigrant who owns a local Mediterranean restaurant. He says the voter ID measure does not discriminate.
No, just because you're poor doesn't mean you don't have a driver license or you cannot obtain a driver license.
Oak View Comunidad is a non-profit group working to narrow the social, cultural, health and economic gap in Huntington Beach. Co-founder Oscar Rodriguez says the law will suppress voter turnout in lower-income neighborhoods.
You're confusing people, and so when people are already having low voter turnout, it may be because of childcare, having multiple jobs, because they don't trust the system, and then you're adding an additional layer of voter ID, then that kind of confuses people and it may turn away people to come out to the polls and vote.
City leaders say they're ready to fight the state over voter IDs for local elections. Those legal challenges will take the case beyond this November's vote, when the state voting laws will remain in effect here. Genia Dulot, VOA News, Huntington Beach, California.